2:58 p.m., nobody warned them about the orangutan. That was the part Leona Mercer kept coming back to, weeks later, sitting in her kitchen with the phone screen glowing in the dark, while her son slept down the hall. She'd watched the footage so many times she could recite the timestamps, but no matter how many times she replayed it, the moment still stopped her cold. That quiet, impossible second, when the animal on the other side of the glass did something no one standing there had caught in real time. Something that, if Darius hadn't been filming, they never would have believed. It had been one of those afternoons that starts out fine and slowly unravels. Leona had been running on 4 hours of sleep. Callan was 18 months old, which meant he was walking and climbing and grabbing and absolutely uninterested in staying where she put him. Darius had suggested the zoo as a way to burn off the energy that had been ricocheting through their apartment since 6 that morning. "He'll love the animals," Darius said, slinging the diaper bag over one shoulder while Callan tried to eat a shoelace. "He'll love the gift shop," Leona muttered. She wasn't wrong about that, but she was wrong about almost everything else that day. The Riverside Wildlife Park was the kind of zoo that still felt like an old zoo. Worn fences, enclosures where you could actually get close to the glass. The primates were near the back. By the time the Mercers reached the orangutan habitat, most of the morning crowd had moved on. Quito was alone near the far end of the enclosure, that massive rust-colored shape, all bulk and stillness, one arm draped over a low branch like a man with nowhere to be. His face was ancient-looking, patient. His eyes moved slowly across the visitors without much interest. Callan went straight for the glass. He always did that. Anything vertical and shiny, he treated like it owed him a conversation. Leona reached out to slow him, but he was already there. Both tiny palms flat against the barrier, leaving little fog prints on the surface. And that was when Quito turned his head. Not at the couple behind them, not at the older woman with the stroller, at Callan, specifically. The way the orangutan's gaze landed on the toddler had a quality Leona couldn't name in the moment. Focused, unhurried, deliberate. Like recognition. Darius pulled out his phone. "Getting this," he said. Leona barely heard him. She was watching Quito move. The orangutan came forward slowly, one long arm then the other. Not rushing, not aggressive, but the crowd around the enclosure had gone oddly still. Even the school group nearby drifted closer, sensing something worth watching. Quito stopped when his face was a few feet from the glass. He was enormous up close. His hands, when he placed them against the barrier, were the size of Leona's face. And yet, he wasn't scary exactly, just focused. His dark eyes moved carefully over Callan, tracking the toddler's small movements with an attention that felt almost deliberate. Two measured. Callan, delighted, tapped the glass with one palm. Quito leaned slightly forward. "Should I pull him back?" Leona asked no one in particular. A man nearby said, "I think it's fine." She reached out anyway and put one hand on Callan's shoulder. There was nothing threatening in what she was seeing, just an animal watching her son, just glass between them. But she kept her hand there. Then Callan, the way toddlers do, shifted his weight suddenly. That loose-limbed, top-heavy wobble that parents learn to read in half a second. His torso pitched forward, his head moving fast toward the glass. Not a fall, just a stumble, the kind that corrects itself. But Quito moved before anyone else did. The orangutan surged forward, not charging, not aggressive, but fast, his hands lifting toward the glass in the exact spot where Callan's head was aimed. Both palms flat, his body angled between the child and the barrier, as if to catch him, as if he'd already decided, before the stumble was even finished, where it was going. The whole thing lasted less than 2 seconds. Leona pulled Callan back. Quito held his position for a moment, hand still on the glass, watching, then slowly stepped back, walked to the far end of the enclosure, and didn't approach the glass again for the rest of the afternoon. Maribel Soto, one of the younger keepers, had seen it from 20 feet away. She approached carefully. "Everything okay?" "He almost tipped over," Leona said. "And the orangutan." "I saw," Maribel said. She was quiet for a moment. That's not typical behavior for Quito. None of them knew what to do with that. That night, after Callan was asleep, Darius pulled up the footage. They watched it once, then again, then a third time, phone balanced on the kitchen table between them. "Stop it there," Leona said. There it was, frame by frame, unmistakable. Callan's balance had gone wrong before any adult in the frame had registered it. The stumble began, and in that same instant, before Leona's hand had even started moving, before anyone in the crowd had reacted, Quito had already begun to move forward, already lifting his hands, already positioned, already there, as if he had anticipated something the humans around him hadn't yet recognized as real. They replayed it 4 more times. How did he know? Darius asked. It wasn't really a question. In the days that followed, Leona found herself reading about great apes, their spatial reasoning, their documented ability to predict trajectories, to track the arc of a moving object before it lands. One researcher described orangutans as having observational intelligence that lets them identify variables human observers routinely miss, particularly when those humans are, as she put it, emotionally filtered. Leona thought about that phrase for a long time. She thought about how she'd been watching Callan while also half thinking about dinner, while calculating how much longer before he needed a nap, while tracking Darius, while managing everything else a parent carries without naming it. All that noise running beneath the surface, and Quito on the other side of the glass, with no agenda, nothing else to look at, had just been watching, completely present in a way that she, standing right there, had not been. Here's the thing worth taking home from that afternoon. The danger is rarely a monster. It's rarely obvious. It's usually a half-second of inattention, a distracted glance, an assumption that something is fine because nothing has gone wrong yet. We filter our attention through everything we're carrying, and we miss things, small things, the kind that don't matter until they do. What Quito did was pay attention without distraction. He didn't assume the toddler was stable. He watched, and he responded to what was actually there. The family returned to the zoo the following Saturday. Callan ran ahead and stopped in front of the orangutan enclosure without being led there. He waved, big, exaggerated, full body, the way toddlers wave. Quito was sitting in his spot at the back. He looked up. For one moment, his gaze found the child. Then he turned away, slow and unhurried, back to whatever orangutans contemplate in the quiet of an afternoon. Leona stood there longer than she needed to. Sometimes, the most important guardian in the room is the one you weren't expecting, the one with no distractions, the one who was simply, completely paying attention. If this story gave you pause, share it with someone you love, and subscribe. There are more stories like this one waiting for you.